How do we choose a book for this online community book club? This is my question. I don't know how to create a poll, but I think I can Google that or ask a friend. I'll see if that's the way we do it. It might be easier. So I have a huge list of spiritual books that I would love to read as a group slowly to discuss. And I'm going to show you three that I have. But the cool thing about the first two, there is a free version in audio on YouTube or the internet or whatever. So, for example, this is my book, shamelessly plugging myself, A Shaman's Dreamtime. And that is free. I created free audios and I posted them on YouTube. And then that's the nonfiction. Most of the things I want to read are nonfiction. However, my friend Heather Noel wrote a spiritual fiction book. Like it's deep, and it's so good. And she added so much music to it. And it's almost like you're listening to a movie, and it's just phenomenal. So I really can't recommend it more. It's a great fiction book and a spiritual it's called The Game. I don't know if that's backwards from your view, but basically the concept is that what if this Earth experience is more like a virtual reality game? But it's in story form. It's so beautifully written. It's quite amazing. And she's just sent me the updated online version that is free. And that I think has 13 chapters. My book has 10 chapters, plus, intro and conclusion. The other book I have on hand that is not free and available to us is Memories of Heaven by Dr. Dyer and Garnes. Memories of Heaven is all about children's astounding recollections of the time before they came to Earth. So there's different sections in this book. I should have maybe opened it to the right spot, but here we go. So memories of heaven, memories of past lives, memories of choosing parents. I'll always love to tell my kids that story. Anyway, memories of family reincarnations and role reversals, memories of spiritual connections to our source, mystical and precognitive wisdom, invisible friends and spiritual visitations, and angel stories. All from a child's perspective, the things they said to the adults in their lives, and then those adults sent these stories to Dr. Dyer and D. Garnes. And so the other list of ideas I have, like I said, I'm probably going to figure out how to make a poll so we can choose. But I am going to be honest, I have been completely obsessed with listening to near death experiences lately, maybe the past month. I think so. And part of it, I think, is because I've been dreaming in a way that is making me think my dad might pass away soon. He is 76. His parents passed in their 80s. His brother's 86. So, you would think that it probably wouldn't happen, but the truth is, my mom passed at 38, right? We can never ever know when it's our time to go. And so, what are we going to do? What do you want to make sure you get done before you go? So I've just been completely obsessed with this legacy that I want to leave. And actually, these dreams are so good. Like whether or not he goes, they spurred me to call my dad and have this amazing conversation with him and open up more about who I am spiritually. Like I shared with him the time that my mom in spirit form saved my life. And I feel like with that experience, I don't know if it was a near death experience because I was alone. So I don't know if I died. I definitely didn't go anywhere. I just know my mom sent me the light and healed me. And so to me, that's more like a visitation, or what do you call it? They call it a spiritually transformative event, an STE. And I've had so many of those throughout my life. And so I feel like an NDE person, even though I've never had an actual die and leave your body and go into the light experience, but I've felt that unconditional love and acceptance that is just undeniable. Undeniable. And so that's what I feel like I'm really finally starting to get in touch with after all these years. It's been 10, 15 years since so many of these experiences. And I'm really starting to feel like it's time for me to really share that part of myself. And my experiences are not just for me. I thought for a long time that maybe they were just for me to help me get through that hard time. But I'm finding that these messages can really help other people. And so that's why I wrote my book, A Shaman's Dreamtime. That's why I'm starting to share more, is because I believe that I've been gifted a spiritual perspective that was beneficial to me, and I really, really needed those. But now that I'm doing so much better and feel so much stronger and healthier, it's time for me to share those messages with others and help them have their own personal experiences with that divine, unconditional, completely accepting love for them as is. I have to add in the as is, because we all have good days and bad days, quote unquote. We also have good moments and bad moments all in one day. Like, I could be a super shit 1 minute and then be like, oh man, and bring myself back to love. And then I'm like, you know, and we can transform in a day. We can transform in a moment, is what I'm saying. Every day isn't going to be the perfection that you wish was you, or that I wish was me. But the fact that we're seeking to hold a higher perspective for ourselves and our lives and the people that we love and the people in our lives and the world that we're living in, we can find it to be very challenging sometimes. And I think this kind of group with this kind of energy and this kind of constantly nourishing ourselves with a higher perspective can really help us navigate life and make healthier decisions for ourselves and truly know how to love ourselves and others. I say better, but it's just, deeper, more deeply. So some of those other books, one of them is called Closer to the Light, and it's written it's called Learning from NDEs of Children, and it's by Dr. Melvin Morse. He's written a lot of books because he's been studying near-death experiences for a long time as a doctor, and it's changed his life. And I think that's really interesting. And I like hearing stories from children because they pretty much say it exactly how it is without having all the adult filters, I guess you would say. And then there's this other one that I'm like, what? I've heard this lady speak, Anita Moorjani, Dying to Be Me. Hello, that's the perfect title. Dying to Be Me. She had her near death experience basically and realized, she was shown that all of her decisions up to that point that led to her death were because she had made her decisions from a space or energy of fear and not trusting and loving herself. And I'm like, what? What? It sounds really good. And I'm so interested in that one. And then there's another one. So I love this Netflix series. It's called Surviving Death. And there's some really amazing people in there. And this one woman, Lynn Jackson, she wrote a couple of books, and one of them is called Signs, The Secret Language of the Universe. And although I'm very familiar and I think that I pay attention to signs really well, and I have friends like that, like it's just how we are. I mean, what if there's things in this book that I could learn? I'm always open to learning. She also wrote The Light Between Us, Stories from Heaven, Lessons for Living, for the Living. Yeah. Stories from Heaven, Lessons for the Living. So good. Sounds good. Anyway, I don't know. I haven't read it. And then I listened to this podcast, Round Trip Death or something like that. And it's basically their NDE stories. And this author, her name is Kathy. I can't remember her last name. She wrote Misfit in Hell to Heaven, Expat, EXPAT. So it's like heaven spit her out. But it was a good thing. It was a good thing that it did because she had so much more work to do, right? She was loved and accepted and held and all that beautiful stuff. But the lesson she learned from it was really about how we manifest in our lives through obviously the way that we think and believe and the emotions and energy that we carry. And so her experience with all of that just sounded so fascinating. And so that's another, I mean, this is a huge list. And my list is so much longer. So anyway, I'd love your input, nonfiction or fiction, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are, where to start. Maybe the poll will help. Maybe somebody that watches this will know how to create a poll, but I'll probably figure it out. We'll see. All right. Thanks for joining me in this, and let's pick a book so we can get started. Thanks so much. Bye.